Hello there, welcome again, and this time we are going to look at the Linux distribution, and this is called GoboLinux. It's not a very known one, it's actually a pretty small one, but it seems very interesting. And why does it seem interesting? Because because it basically throws away the file system of Linux and it builds one of its own. And having its own one means it's different and it seems like an interesting one. Basically, what it does is it separates, in its clear folders. Usually, you would have folders like bin, lib, etc., and so on. But GoboLinux has folders like system, variable, and programs, and so on. So it's very clear what they intend to do, and the most important, most interesting part of this is the programs folder because usually when you install a program on a Linux system, it spreads files all over your file system. You know, you might end up with something in etc, you might end up with something in the user share, you might end up with something somewhere else, so on. So it's going to spread all of those files. But on the other hand, here, when you're looking at GoboLinux, it puts everything, all of that, inside the programs folder, and there's one individual folder within that for each different application. So if you want to remove an application entirely, you can simply uninstall that folder inside the programs folder for the application. So it's very simple, very easy to find where your software is. It's not spread at all. You won't leave anything behind. It's all right there in that one folder. And that is very interesting. It's also a source-based distribution to a large degree. So basically, what that means is that it compiles on source, but it also has a package manager for installing true binary packages. But if you know if it's not available, you will have to compile, and they have a tool for that called compile. But we'll look into that later. So let's begin by going through this. So when I first booted up, this is what I got this menu stating to choose my language. So we'll take English. Actually, is there anything else? Nope, there's only these few languages. So we'll take English here. Now, this key map picking thing, I'm already not a huge fan of it. I had to move down using my actual, you know, mouse keys, or not mouse keys, but direction keys, so I can do things, and that is a huge pain. This is not a good way to make something with a lot of options. It is very inconvenient. So that's something that I don't like a lot. Now, it does also use this dot map thing here, but I think it's clear enough, and also it is more of an advanced distro due to its source-based nature and not massive repositories, because the repositories are quite small, given it's, well, not a big distro to begin with. So we'll just pick this one, and let's see what it does. Okay, so we have gotten to this installer. So now we need to be able to install it. Now we could go on to desktop version here. So we could, just type startx and end up on desktop, but I'm not wanting to do that. What I want to do is use the installer, but we'll check out the startx and see what that looks like. By default, anyway. So it's using the awesome window manager. I don't like this one a lot. I have had issues with it, not registering my key bindings properly. While I was using it, I much prefer other styling matchers to go, Qtile. And now I use Ice Window Matcher, which is of course not a tiling matcher to begin with. But we can see we have workspaces, we have a menu, it seems, with actual apps and things, so it's good, I guess. It makes things a bit more friendly. They could have gone for something like Trophy as well, and or U-Launcher and have like a key binding menu, but this is fine as well. With a tiling matcher, I would probably myself use Rofi instead, but I do use a menu like this on my floating matcher, ice window matcher, which is what I use currently. So It's fine. Of course, it's a bit of a different menu, and there's some things I don't. I would change about this on my default, of course, on my own system. But I think this is totally okay system. It uses a darker theme, which is nice. I like darker themes. They are much nicer than lighter themes, and therefore that's a good thing, of course. And another thing that's great is the fact that it's a fairly clean layout. You know, you don't have a ton of icons and nonsense. It's just kind of there. And of course, you have your clocks, whatever. This is, oh, a volume slider thing, I guess, or a volume enabling thing, I presume. Yep, it's some kind of a volume thing, I guess. And here's our wide network. Let's see, what do we have? Not too much stuff. I have never done this, don't really much stuff. So we have whatever this is. I have no clue what this software does. So let's see what it actually does and how it works. I'm presuming all this live CD stuff is what's going to come with it, so I'm just going to use it. Oh, is this some kind of like a image editor of some kind? Oh, it's a photo editor thing. Okay. Why do they have this though? That out of all things, they have like a photo editor in here. This is kind of an odd pick, but it's fine. For Internet, they have Firefox. It's fine. My hardware has issues with it, so I use Chromium because Firefox has screen tearing on my actual system. So we could go to youtube.com and yeah, I'm going to agree to cookies and whatnot. I'm not using much of the machine here anyway. So anyway, we could go here. We could find ourselves, and you can see, here we go. Here's our channel. So what's up with this is that we have working Firefox, which is of course good, and we want a working Firefox. It's optimal to have one. So yeah, also I have my Odyssey here, so if you want to check that out, we can. And so that's that same channel name, and I have the same video as I did on my other channel here. So now to go out of Firefox because we no longer need it, we can look into multimedia. Oh, we have Audacious. Interesting. So yeah, this is a music player app. I don't use it. I use Deadbeef at the moment. I have also used Cuddlybet in the past. But Cuddlybet has issues where it would freeze on my current system. So I use Deadbeef now. Now we have an installation option here. We might use the terminal one depending on what options this has in comparison to that. Then we have HTOP. Okay, cool. HTOP is nice. Don't know why it's installed by default. Usually it wouldn't be. Yeah, I was watching a Tradistar review before, and they were commenting on for like Nixolas or whatever, and they are mentioning how it wasn't there by default and how it isn't anywhere. Well, it is here, and also that review is had the comments mainly of GoboLinux, which is where I actually found out about this distro to begin with. The memory usage seems to be fairly high, though we do have a bunch of stuff running, or we have run a bunch of stuff already, but this is a lot of RAM usage. Holy crap. It might have to do with the fact that we're using live CD. It might go down when we actually install our system. But that is a lot of RAM usage in comparison to something like Gen 2. Even like Debian tends to use less with a window manager. So we'll have to see how that goes once we install it. We have gparted for managing our partitions, and we have managed printing. What is this? Is the same way as my Gen 2 is? Yep. So it opens up in browser this CAS page. I also have this option in my center system, though I have actually disabled caps, so it just doesn't open anything in my browser, but the option is still there for some reason, so that's interesting. Then we also have Vim and GVim, I guess. So we do have, okay, why is this Vim in a light theme? Okay, so we have a light theme, the Vim, but I guess it's like a separate Vim app. But like it's a white theme for some reason. I don't like that. Here though we have an actual dark Vim as I would like my software to be. Of course, I don't use Vim a lot much. I prefer Nano, but it's here. Vim is fine if you just learn how to use it. It's you have to click I to insert that stuff and so on. I usually don't like Vim because I use VS Codium for anything more complex, and anything less complex I like using Nano, which is more simple than Vim is. So Vim is a really middle ground that serves no purpose for me, so I just use other things. But if you like Vim, which a lot of people do, then this is here, and you can probably get rid of it easily anyway. And then, oh, we have Compton as an app here. Interesting. The fact that we have Compositor as an actual app in the menu, that is very intriguing. I guess I have some window manager menu works like that. Anyway, let's see. What is edit config thing? Ah, it's for ice window manager config. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Now let's see. Oh, they have URXVT. Okay, yeah. Well, that's all good. We can full screen and everything. I think their theming is decent. It definitely fits this whole neon futuristic aesthetic. It's clear what they're going for, and I think it fits that. I don't personally like this a lot. It stands out a bit too much for me, and it's a bit too. There's too much light. I like using more minimal designs. As you have seen, if you have looked at my previous video, you'll have seen that I have just a very plain dark bar and dark borders. So I prefer very plain themes. Uh, I made one for Icewind Dame so no guess I could probably make one for Awesome. If I want to use this Awesome, and then I could use that. Of course, I don't intend to use Awesome. I'm not a huge fan of it. I prefer Qtile as a tiling one. I like that one. And I also like Icewind Dame as a floating one, so Awesome does serve a purpose for me, but it's, I guess, other people do like it, so I guess it's in some sense cool. But okay, let's find our installer. Where is it? System tools. Let's see what their graphical installer is like. We need to make our partitions. Okay, so we want to use gparted. Okay, so partition, create a new partition table. Let's just use MBR for the sake of keeping things very simple. A new. Yeah, yeah, we can make ext4. We don't need to worry about anything else. Let's make all of our things that way. Now let's try to use the installer option. I have no clue what it's expecting from me, which is why I'm a bit kind of confused about how this works. I don't use cheaper usually. You would find me using fdisk, and also yeah. Okay, let's recreate. It's still pending. Okay, let's actually apply it. Now that makes sense. Now we need to wait for this to finish, which is has. So now we can maybe run it. Yep, it's now giving us the installer. So now we can actually read this. It says, welcome to the thing. Can we actually just like erase text? Yes, we can. Heck yeah, we can erase text. Amazing. So yeah, we want for the options, blah blah. You'll be able to format the disk partition. Well, you could have just let me run the installer and had me do it afterward. Why do you make me do cheaper first if you're going to go into the option afterward anyway? This is dumb. I think they should have had that partition in the installer if they were going to give us options with the disk anyway. And yeah, the packages, if it's gives choice, that's good. I don't want to install Awesome. I want to try installing Icewind Dome Manager if it's available, or Qtile or something. I want to try using a command line version of this because we are, installing this way. I also want to be able to see how that works. And yeah, now let's see next. Yep, that's our version. Now we don't actually need format if we already did it just a second ago. Yeah, we don't need to swap because we're just using VM. Now, this is interesting. Oh yeah, it's really giving us choice here. Oh my god, it's allowing us to get so many if just not get them. Okay, let's make this window bigger. Okay, I don't like the fact there's no arrows here at the edge. I want to be able to see when I'm actually on the correct place to move in more than just a highlighting thing, if that makes sense. Let's see, is there anything we just want to... I don't want to remove too much stuff because I don't want to mess up my system, and I'm not really here to make an optimized mail system.
If I was installing some hardware, that's what I use, I would look into all of these things and really optimize it. But for now, I'm not concerned. Okay, we don't need all the issues. That's unnecessary. That's I know. So I'm going to look through these. Anything obvious we don't need?
Uh, do they come with like Compton? No, they don't. Okay, so they come up. So they have a Compton here, but they have a Pycom in here. I guess maybe I also mistaken Pycom as that. In any case, that's fine. Yes, you want a bootloader, you want to be able to, boot. Let's call this Gobo, us from GoboLinux. Yeah, we want the usual finish layout. This is better than the thing I had when I launched the thing for second time per one. I can actually, scroll down with the mouse wheel and stuff. So much nicer. Now do you want the theme for booting? Can we even disable it? No, we can't. Well, this is just nonsense. Can just is there like a stock one? I'm not seeing one. This is kinda annoying. BIOS quick setting. Let's select GMT because why not? That's what I think it probably is in. So I'm guessing that time zone, Europe. We want to find. It doesn't matter, but we'll pick the correct one, of course, for me. So the scrolling here is a bit excessive, probably because it's a small resolution things, I guess. So yeah. Password. Let's make it. I wonder what this is going to be. Make a guess on what the password is. We don't need actual users. Actually, I think. Actually, we do want to because we only have root so far. I think. Once again, you can guess the password. It's totally not the same as the root one here. And let's enable spiritual privileges because we want to be able to use like whatever sudo or whatever. We have an. We want to click that. Okay, we have to click on this add user thing and stuff. Okay, let's finish this one, and now it's going to start actually doing things. So I'll be back once it's installed, and I'll see you then. So we have now installed it successfully, I hope. It decided to kind of shut the display off midway through or at the end. So I'm presuming it's finished because it did boot. And as you can see, it is running the kernel 5.6.10 and it is showing this here, by the way. So this is what I got after booting, and it shows our kernel version. It's a bit of an odd choice. It's not LTS, but it's also not new at all, so it's a bit confusing. It's not like Debian, which is like really old and meant to be stable, where it would use like an actual LTS version. Instead, this is just like a 5.6 version, which as far as I know isn't LTS. Now it's compiled through whatever it's saying there, so uh, very simple. I don't know what that actually refers to, but it's talking about compilation, so I presume it has something to do with what it says it's to do with. It shows our memory as well, and our processors and our terminal. So now let's log in. So we made the user Gobo with a totally different password, and as we can see, do we have sudo? We do have sudo. Do we have DOS? No DOS. Okay, let's see. Do we have? Yep, it is. It allows us to go into StartX. That's good. That's what they want to do. Though I wonder if it's actually going to give us anything. Oh yeah, it does. And we are back into this sim or something. And yeah, once again, it's giving us the exact same options as it did before. I'm still intrigued by the fact that it's Compton as an option. I guess we don't have the install option here anymore. Now, okay, now the memory usage is far more reasonable. 165 megs, that's actually pretty decent. Though it is on this VM, and this VM runs other things like Debian at the exact same thing. But still, it's nice to have that. Like it really is. Now, let's see. Do we have a terminal? I guess we don't. Actually, we do. It's here, like this. Okay, so we do have the RxVT still. Okay, now let's try and compile something. Neo fetch. I wonder. Oh yes, we want to do the compile as a command. Ah, so it does want to use sudo. As you can see, it's already complaining about the program's location. Okay, since it's finding something, so I guess we can install Neopatch here, while we're compiling it. Yes, it is a source distribution, as I was saying. So you can install, you can compile from source. You can also install manually. I'm compiling from source because I want to see if it works well, because I like compiling things manually, which is one of the reasons I like Gentoo so much. So I want to see if this works. I'm not going to go and make my own builds here, which I could do. But yeah, I'm going to let this do its thing. It doesn't seem to be telling me anything. I'll see if it actually does anything. Actually, let me launch another terminal and just check that our internet works. It does, so there should be installation there. We should be able to install things fine. So I'll just let this do its thing. I'll come back once again once it's done, and we'll then look through how well Neo Fetch works. And it seems to take a damn long time to install, given it's only Neo Fetch that we are installing, which is basically just a single script. Well, let's assume we of course find it. Actually, let me cancel this one and see if it's. Uh, let's try PC. Let's try to get the file manager first. Actually, I want to see if it's actually a case of it not being there or something else. Okay, do we have something? I want to see if there's something. I want to see something. Okay, let's just. Okay, so it's still trying to just compile like that. Okay, let's see if you can actually find a package for these things. I don't think Pulsar is a thing, so let me try. Okay, it's not launching Firefox. That's not a good sign. Okay, now it's launching Firefox. Good. Blah blah. Let's see if we can actually find our. Let's see what we can actually find here. We could compile our own one as well. I'm not going to deal with that right now. I'm going to see if there's anything along the lines of. This isn't here. Let's see. So if oh, they do have like Dolphin plugins at least of Dolphin. I think they have like Dolphin. I'm not going to use Dolphin. I don't like it. They have Nemo? No, do they have any good ones? I swear they literally like only have something like. Uh, okay, let's see if I can dislocate one current. They don't have any of the good ones I know. Okay, let's see. Do they have like space FM? No, they don't. Like, do we have procedures to install like Dolphin here? Of course, I said we could make our own build. I guess. Let's see. Do they have like NeoFetch here? They don't. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, let's try launching our terminal. Let's just not get the file manager for now. I want to do it later. Let's just alas and then do this. And as we can see, we have it. We have these places. This is different from your usual one. Usually, as I said, you would have like bin, etc, user, blah blah blah. But here, as you can see, we have data, which stores well. Data, it's stuff like options about data and how to compile things, etc. Then we have mount, which is like MNT for mounting things. Programs, where programs are stored. System, this is like etc. And like USR as well, it has this has like our options and configuration and stuff. Then we have, or it has our options for like our actual system. And this is also the kernel and stuff like that. So our core system is here basically, and the users is like home actually. So if we do ls dash users, we can see our users actually written on here. Now if you ls dash programs, we can see all of our apps are here. Now let's see if we can find okay, I guess let's use the thing here. So do they have it on this page? I guess not. Let's go to here. Let's go to docs. Uh, yeah, I guess you might want to compile our own thing just for fun of it and see how actually compiling our own or making our own build for compilation is interesting. So let's look at here. There's a writing thing. Oh, there's experiments. Actually, do they have Ice Window Manager in the repositories? Ah, again, I need to do sudo. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Yep, as I was guessing, it doesn't actually have anything there, so it's not actually doing anything. So let's see. Installing body packages. Okay. Let's go here. I think they have no way for writing new things. Okay, that's the thing we want to look at. No, where is it? It might be here. Yep, writing recipes. You want to look at this one. So you want to make one from scratch. So first thing, okay, this isn't needed from us. Now I want to actually make. Was it gonna be like submitting anything? We are just. I also don't like the menu here with lack of app names with terminals. No, that might be terminal's fault. I don't know. Yep, it install package. Let's try using install package. Then let's see, do they have NeoFetch or something here? Yep, they don't have that. Then we can try. We can try file managers here as well. Let's see. Do we have a way of doing it? Do we have anything we can install through this? Yep, there's nothing there. So we want to compile our own things. So let's see, how do we write one of these? Okay, so let's find our actually. Okay, let's find our PCM and FM source. Let's see if we can actually find. Okay, do they have it linked here or something? No, they don't. Well, that doesn't help me. I want to find the source bit. I guess the source for each thing is. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Here's our product page. Files, I guess. Okay, so I want to find a specific file. So I want to find out actual turbo. So let's say you want this one. So I want to copy this link. Then we want to do make. Okay, that's that then. Now into the password again. Good, it's based on autoconf. That makes things more convenient for it. Okay, so now let's just compile it. We need to do sudo again. So that actually... Okay, so what's that called then? Okay, so... Uh, this is weird. Okay, I'm no clue what's happening. Okay, let's just see what's in this. Data compile and the recipes. So it's code download for some reason. Okay, sudo compile. We'll do download then. This is actually the PCman FM. So it seems the naming is a bit strange. But hey, now we're compiling something like I might in Gentoo, so that's good. It seems to be compiling things, though it does error out. Actually, let's go to our releases. I think this is where we can actually find our... so we want to copy link location, then we want to make okay, here we go. Let's try to make doesn't seem like it likes us. Oh well, let's try to do sudo again. It might be erroring out because of that. So yep, so now I want to do sudo compile and then we want to do, let's see what it actually... Okay, so it's compiling about the receipt type for some reason. I'm... Hmm. Let's just aram that's data slash compile slash recipe slash neo fetch. Oh yeah, what was the way to remove directories? Uh, Okay, so RM there, RMD. Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. Okay, I guess we have to RM everything inside it beforehand. I guess we can just now go into we want to remove this one and then we want to RM there. We have to go this one at a time. Now we can remake that thing. Let's try. I'm just trying to remake the recipe because I might have ah compile 7.10 7.10. Oh god, that's not what I want to type. Oh no, my scrolling is back. Actual heck. Let's see if that's what it's actually called. Otherwise, we can just see what it's called. Seems it found it, so we are trying to compile that now. Let's see if we can actually compile something without failing for once. I want to be able to use this. Neofetch, let's see if this works. Yep, it does, and it refers GoboLinux, and it shows us our details. So, good. We were able to install Neofetch at least. So, what are my... So really, it's weird. I haven't been able to do much. I don't really understand how this works. I don't think it's necessarily a bad distro. I don't think it's doing anything wrong. It's just I don't understand it, and it's clearly a difficult one to learn. I mean, you have to pretty much make your own e-build type thing, which is recipe in this case, and you have to build your own things. And because you have to build your own things, well, it's going to mean problems, and if it means problems, then you don't want to do this. So it's interesting. I don't know how feasible it is. It seems like the repository is quite a pain to handle. I mean, even once you figure it out, you still have to, make your recipe things and, manage all of that stuff yourself. And, you have to install your dependencies probably yourself and other things. So, there's work that you need to do if you want to install things. And that I think is not for me. I like Gentoo, yes, but Gentoo has a repositories. It has the ability to compile things, and it's just a lot more convenient. But if you don't like compiling things, then this one might be a difficult distro to use, because, or if you don't like to manually make your build files, because this one is going to need you to manually make them, because it doesn't use like a download repository system, uh, like something like Gentoo would do. And of course, we can actually try to do one last install of Dolphin and see if that works. And of course, it doesn't. So the actual binary things, there's like nothing. It's going to be time consuming to get packages on here. But if you are, wanting to do that, if that's something that you're fine doing and you like the structure of, um, that is not the correct application. You know, if you like this data program structure a lot, if this seems very appealing to you, you might actually consider this distro. It's too much work for me. It doesn't match what I want to do. It doesn't have the customizability of Gentoo with use flags, I guess. And I mean, I guess you can, make your packages as you want with the options in here, but it's not as easy as use flags is. It's not. You don't make your own kernel. You don't have as much control when you actually make the system. And overall, it's not what Gentoo is. It's a different thing, and it still takes time. It's more effort. It's not the kind of effort where I'm customizing things to my liking effort. It's like the type of effort that's I'm doing simply to install something, and I don't like that. I want to be able to install things with ease when I want to, and if I want to customize them, I want to be able to do so. So this one lacks the easiness of installation that all of other distros have, and you need to make your own packages. And that is not something I don't like personally, but if that's something you like and you want to use this, go ahead. I think the default look of it is fine. It's not amazing. I don't like the style a lot, but at least it's dark and it's fine. It's usable. And yeah, do as you will. Uh, the RAM usage is still a bit high. I mean, it's about on par with something like Debian. It's not even near to being as slow as something like Gen 2. I can quit actually the awesome window manager and I can try to run a NeoFetch here. And actually, our memory usage is about the same as Gen 2, but take into account this is on my Gen 2 desktop usage is far higher than it would be here. My desktop has 16 gigabytes of RAM, and that means things are going to take more RAM up than they are going to on virtual machines. I know my VMs take less memory for things than my desktop does. So, for that reason, I think it is still way more heavy than my Gen 2 is, even outside of the awesome window manager, which of course only increases that by quite a bit. So, yeah. It's not amazing. I mean, it doesn't stand out as being anything particularly good. The kernel is old, not even LTS. There's a few really odd decisions being made here. It feels weird. It's not. It doesn't feel like everything here makes sense. It doesn't feel like everything is good. It's kind of nonsensic to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of it, and frankly, that's that. So welcome back again. I'm back at GoboLinux just to explain things further. Because the first time I had big time issues with compile, it didn't work properly. And indeed, it doesn't seem to work properly here either. And what's happening here is I'm trying to just give it some time, let it clone the thing and see if it's actually cloning anything. Though, as I looked last time, it didn't create any folders, so I'm very skeptical that it's actually doing anything. But regardless, I'll let it do its thing. Maybe it's just going to take a long time, and I'll wait for some time and see if it's actually going to do it. However, what I did notice was that there were still issues. I tried make a new VM. The compile tool worked. It worked fine in the installation medium. I was able to not install anything, however, because, well, the actual files in the repository, the recipe files, have outdated or non-functional links inside them. And as such, the actual repository doesn't even work. So even if you can get the compile working, your actual repository doesn't even work. And what we also established yesterday, however, is that you can get compile to work as long as you use your local files. It's clear to me that the global files, uh, the repository compile files are outdated. They are not maintained well. They are generally not good. I have not had a good experience with them with the limited time I've spent. I tried to install multiple things, and as you can see here, this is unable to access the repository, which is mind-baffling because it should be able to access the repository. And this is the final installation. The original, the live ISO, as I said, works fine. I mean, it's able to access the repository. It tries to install things, but the files given inside the recipes are outdated, they do not work, and as such, or some of them at least, and as a result, it ends up not being reliable at all. However, you can make your own recipes, and as we saw in my previous bit, I was able to get NeoFetch to work with my custom recipe. However, it is out of trouble to make them, and sometimes you'll end up with issues with dependencies, as I mentioned yesterday, and then you'll have to write your own recipes for those dependencies, and then you'll have to write everything else. So it's going to be very time consuming and really not a good way to spend your time, at least unless you want to do it. I don't think it's good to spend your time, and I'm kind of disappointed that the repositories are handled this way. And the fact that compile doesn't work off the box, the fact that it's, not finding the repository to begin with is just disturbing. And, I do have an internet connection, so, if I want to ping Google, I can, and you can see it is being pinged. So it is not a case of network not being a thing. It is purely a case of this not finding the repository of the thing itself. It's trying to start something, it's not able to do something, and I don't like that. What you can do is package install, compiler, which I already do, utter installation of this. However, that one messed up even more, and it basically lost entire configuration file, and it ended up with a bunch of errors after that, and it was super complicated. So, or install package, sorry. So yeah, you can use this to install like, I think, oh yes, I think this works. At least I'm under the impression. Okay, it's not even able to find GIMP now, so that's not good. Let's see if we can make compile. Yeah, I think it's not able to access any of the actual repositories. Now we can install, as you can see here, this, so let's see. I'm going to skip this one. I think the reason why it messed up last time is because I updated that file with stuff that shouldn't be there. So I'm just going to rebuild compile as a binary and see if that helps. If it does, then great. It shouldn't take too long, but I'll see what it does. I'll see if it works. I'll see if I'll be able to access them again, and I'll come back with information on that. Okay, so now we have actually finished up with our download of the compile again, so let's see if it works. Okay, so this is basically what happened last time. It did not like me installing the binary thing, and as such, it doesn't want to do it. Yeah. No, where was the... I think it was in system actually. I don't remember where. Actually, let's see. ls system. I think it was environment. No, it wasn't environment. That's stuff like Python settings. Then let's see. Yep, there is that. So we want to nano. We want to nano the compile conf here, and we want to. Yeah, as you can see here, it's missing a bunch of the things that it wants to have. I heard trying them in. It's a bunch of things it's missing, and even adding those in, it doesn't work. It crashes afterward, and that's not good. So installing true binary seems to still screw up our functionality with the compile.conf file. So it's not a good thing. We can try to, of course, reinstall it again and see. Let's see if we get to install it straight on top. Okay, so we can't. Let's see, struggle to remove packages with this. Okay, let's try their example. We'll try to install GIMP this way and see if it works. The play isn't there, so it's not finding that server repository, and that's I think is a major issue here. I think that's a problem. So by default, it doesn't have the repository set up, and I have no clue how to set it up, and I'm not going to bother doing it. This is only a first impression, it's not a good one. As I said, you can manually install the actual repository, actual files. You can manually make your recipes, but it you have to make it for dependencies as well, and you have to do everything yourself, and it's a lot of trouble, and it doesn't seem to get you much. It seems like they're being really lackluster with their effort on the repository side, and overall the package management is not looking good. It's not nice. The file system is it's great. It seems logical and it does its thing, but everything else is not great. It's not polished. It doesn't. There's all the things sort of missing, not working out of the box, and it's going to take a lot of time and effort to fix these things. It's running a strange kernel version. 5.6 is not an LTS kernel, it's not a new kernel, it's just a really random kernel to use for anything. It's not one I want to see in a distro optimally, it doesn't make sense. And it's just a very chunky uh, distribution overall. I am impressed still by the installation mechanic. You can, really get your freedom with what packages you want to install, like beyond any expectations. That's really impressive. But that's really where my impression ends. It has a good file system. The installer is great in its options it provides you, but the actual development of the system it's really not polished. It's not functional. It doesn't really do anything. Like with Gentoo, sure you have to do command line installation, but like you have documentation to get things done. You actually get things working. This one doesn't. It assumes compile to work off the box. It doesn't give you documentation on how to get working, and it's just a very very jank experience. Some of the issues I've had is probably with my window manager, or not window manager. Sorry, with my the fact that I'm running a virtual machine. Some of it is probably so that, for instance, shutdown doesn't work properly, and that probably has to do with my virtual machine. I'm guessing. However, the actual issues with the package manager, the issues with compile not working, the fact that you can't access your repositories here, that's not good. You can use compile and you can use package install with local packages, but having to go to your browser, find links, putting those in the files and formatting them, figuring out your dependencies, putting those in there, doing all of that when you're supposed to be able to type in the name of the package isn't really good. And even if you can get it working, all of those packages in the repository still don't work, as I was able to see in my live CD. So it's just very chunk. It's not too great, and I really wish it's better. The idea is amazing. I like the idea, but I want to see a better iteration of it than what I got here. I want them to develop this into something that actually works. Although it's a small distro, it is probably not with huge development team. I still wish there would be better development on it. I hope they can fix this up. Get the compile working properly, get the access to the repositories working properly, and just overall end up with something that works properly and isn't chunky like this. Also, the consideration of things like raw therapy by default, you don't need this. I mean, I know you can disable all of this, you can get rid of it in the installer, but why is this an option and something like GIMP isn't one? Like, it just feels odd. It doesn't feel like it's an optimal way to go about things. It's a really odd pick of a software pick, and the same thing can be said about the audio player, whatever it's called. You don't really need that in here, especially when you don't have much anything else. So, they need to commit to something. They aren't really committing to one philosophy. They are installing things your normal user won't need, but then they are not installing the things they would need. So they are trying to go minimal, but they're also kind of sticking in a not completely minimal way, and it's just really odd. It's not consistent. It doesn't seem to have a philosophy behind it. It seems very half-assed. It has a great idea, but it doesn't really build upon it too much. Not as much as I would like to see, and that's the thing I really have an issue with, and why I really don't like this distro too much. I do hope, however, that they do fix it up. They figure things out. They get that compile and install package sorted out. They get their repositories working. They update. They really work on getting those builds updated. Though that does rely on users, so I guess that's fair enough. But I think it's aiming to be more than it's capable of being, and as a result, it ends up just not working from the get go. But I think the fact that the representation doesn't work in the beginning, that's just something I can't understand. It works in live CD, so why does it not work here? And also, in live CD, it just blacks out. It just, once it's done, it just blacks out. It doesn't actually give any proper output. And that's just not a good way to go. It's not intuitive, and it's not what I want to see from something. So yeah, it's an intriguing thing. It's an intriguing project. I hope to see this develop, and I really want to see somebody take up this idea if the actual original developers want, and I want to see this being made into something that works and does what it needs to do. Because the GitHub page is there, the live CD works, but the actual distro doesn't, and there's no excuse for that. Like you can't do this to your users. Uh, what else can I say? And the fact that so many packages don't work within the repo is also an issue. If you're going to have so many not working packages in repo, then you need to, get it sorted. You need to start fixing those, or then you need to get rid of those packages from your repo. It's very hard to know what you can and can't install if there's months of users things in the repo and they don't work. So just a ton of stuff needs to be fixed in regards to the package management and the repos, really. And I really hope to see that getting solved. I think the distro would be a much better experience if they did. I think it would be so much better if they did. It would actually be like a fairly good experience if I could install things from the repos and be able to get my dependencies more easily than by doing all of that manually, and be able to actually get things sorted out. So yeah, that's really my conclusion here. Great idea, not so great execution for now. Uh, there is potential still for it to be fixed, but it's a small distro, not too many people working on it, and that's going to be, I think, a bottleneck here. But I do hope they take this up. I hope they work on it and fix it up and make something better, because this does seem very interesting, and I'm very interested in seeing where this goes from now.